So today we're going to touch on the state of Mississippi. But before I get into that, I've been getting messages that FAIR is hard to reach. Well, first of all, if you're trying to reach us through Facebook Messenger or Instagram Messenger, that's the wrong way to go. I used to get off from work around 10 o'clock in the morning, and by the time I get to my phone, I have like 60 messages just from both of those entities. And then on my phone, I might have another 30. And then I have maybe 60 missed calls. So this is why it's hard to reach. We did not expect FAIR to blow up this big, but I guess I didn't really understand mass incarceration. And, you know, once we started making movements on people's cases, word of mouth spread, and now it's like a wildfire we can't let out. So at the moment, what I did with my little $600 is apply for the 501c3. So as soon as that's accepted, then we can start fundraising and stuff so that we can help more people. So I'm just asking everyone to bear with us. We are very short-staffed, but we will get to as many people as we can. And the cases that we already have, we should be making some good progress on a lot of your cases this year, especially with the laws that are going to be changing, or that I believe will be changing. 700 Club touched on the 3 strikes rule being abolished. That's one of Biden and Harris's first agendas. And for the state of Mississippi, who has the 3 strike rule, I think it'll bring us some release on we only have 3 cases in that state, but it'll help bring relief to those sentences as well as others. Do you all have anything you want to touch on the subject?
As far as the 3 strike rules, I think Indiana had the 3 strikes rule, where basically, you know, a lot of young men get caught up in that, you know, I mean, because for one thing, they don't understand that when you get convicted of a crime, maybe they slap you on the hand with probation, you walk out, you do a couple of these walkouts.
Right.
But they don't understand at this time that these convictions builds up. And then all thing it takes you to do is be incarcerated one time. This is in Indiana, anywhere I know. But then you could get what you call the habitual criminal, which is another added 30 years. So say if you go and steal a candy bar, they give you that 5 years, you could end up getting 30 plus years because you didn't understand when you was taking them plea orders up, you know, and thought that they would, you know, you walking out, you know, and that's how most of the young black men get caught up in that, you know.
Exactly. You touched on something with the pleas. I've had several people reach out to me and they took pleas, and I have to break their heart and tell them, if you signed a plea, if you were over the age of 18 and you signed a plea, there is absolutely nothing we can do for you, because it's an admission of guilt. Even if you did it because you didn't know no better, you have a year to file your direct appeal. And if you've let that time lapse, there's absolutely nothing we can do. But with the 3 strikes rule, I know in California lost oh my goodness, I'm trying to think who it was I talked to. I want to say he was the lead prosecutor or something, but he done away with it in Los Angeles County. The only thing is, when they make these changes, they don't go back and make it retroactive. Right. So the people that are sitting in prison on the 3 strikes, they just kind of sit there. Anybody new won't be affected by it. But that's hundreds of thousands of people that's affected by these laws. The cases we have today, Larry Collier and Tamika Drummer both fell under 3 strikes. But the thing about them in Mississippi is that they never reached their 3rd strike, and they got over 100 years. I think Tamika and Larry were both on their 2nd strike. And the thing I don't understand about habitual criminal, the 1st strike was when they was teenagers. The 2nd strike happened for Tamika, her late 30s, and for Larry, his 40s. So in my mind, that's not a habitual criminal. You went this 20, 30 years span where you didn't commit any crimes, and now they're saying, well, we're going to just throw the book at you because you've been in prison before.
But what I think, as far as when they're young and teenagers, when they do some of this, because they're not getting that teenage expunge, because you have to go another step. I think it's like here in Georgia, that if you get in trouble as a teenager, they do have a process where you can go and get that expunged. So you won't get that if you get in trouble again, you know, it's like you young and they're taking that consideration that you are young, you have mitigating circumstances, and therefore then you're able to expunge that to a certain degree.
Right. But here's the thing. This is why we do this show, because a lot of people don't know what their rights are or what they can do. They just get that charge as a teenager and they just go through life not knowing that they could have even gotten in a sponge. It's not, no one comes up and tells them that information. But it's not because they don't want to, it's because even mom and daddy don't know, or auntie didn't know, or whoever. It's a crazy thing. But see, these cases today, they're nonviolent cases. None of them was murder or armed robbery. They were all drug cases. For Larry, I believe it was less than 2 grams of cocaine. And Tamika and Anthony was marijuana. So for these nonviolent crimes, they're sitting in prison for possibly the rest of their life. Anthony got 60 years, but he's 40. So that is who's going to live to be 100, in prison. So it's just a lot that we got going on with this organization. It's a lot of sleepless nights and stress, because in my mind it's like, why is this happening to these people? But you got to go by the laws of the land, and that's what we need to fight to get changed.
But even with laws of the land, it depends on where you at, which is really a problem, because you can do a crime in one state and it will give you the death penalty, but you can do it in another state. And most of these other states are like in the Northeast, like in Maine or Vermont. You will not get, life or get the death penalty.
Right.
There's something wrong with this system when if they're taking your life, that disparity. And then again, when you look at just why people have to sometimes, why they would say, okay, I'm guilty, when they actually not, because you got to think in terms of, a lot of times they're going to spend in jail maybe a whole year, even before they can even come up with their case, and they're sitting there.
Right.
Then you got to think in terms of money, because it takes money. And that's why it is like this is a systematic way, because we know that prisons are now corporations. They're on the stock market. They have to make money. And the way that they make money, they got to know how many people that's going to fill up this jail. Right. And so all of these other little areas that they are kind of connected in the way that they make prisons what they are. And how our young people get caught up with, because one, you're poor, because if you're rich or you're wealthy and you do the same thing, you will get there. You're not going to stand, you don't have to worry about pleading guilty to something that you didn't do. You see what I'm saying? So this is the problem. Then today, with the way that laws are changing as far as with marijuana becoming decriminalized, and so these same people that are doing time, now you're going to make it okay, because you want to make money, because states want to make money and increase their tax base. And now they're going to make these things that our young people are criminalized. Now you're going to decriminalize in order to profit for it.
Right, but they're decriminalizing it. But the people that's in prison when it wasn't decriminalized have to sit there. And you have so many people fighting to get these people out. And it's a hard fight, because what I always tell people, so many people, everything is about money. Exactly. And if you change one law, it's not going to just free 5 people. It's going to free 20, 30,000 people. And that's money coming out their pockets. And that's what they don't want. This whole thing is just crazy. I keep looking at my phone because everyone's telling me they're about to call, and ain't nobody calling me yet. But
let me explain this to you. How that experience with all justice systems, you get as much justice as you can afford. I mean, and that's just real talk. You just get the most justice you can afford. Being indigent and ignorant to the law, that ain't gonna work out for you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So just basically, I'll tell my young brothers to stand accountable for your time, which you shouldn't have to, but think about it, if you poor, you ain't got no business dealing with that justice system, because it ain't gonna work out for you.
It's not.
You know, it just ain't made to work out for you. And then what I learned by going through the system myself, you know what I'm saying? Being poor, coming out of a poor community, you know, and really I thought I was the Black Robin Hood of the community.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, people love me, you know,
Right.
I still done wrong and I done time for my wrong, you know what I'm saying? But what I saw with my son, which he went through the system and on the drug case, same way, being ignorant to the law, then you have to deal with the public defender's office. And so their job is to dispose of the case as quick as possible to save the state money. You know what I'm saying? So he got as much time on a non-violent case that I did when I done my time.
Right.
You know, and it really was crazy to me because, like I said, you're going through that system, you don't have no money, you know, and you're ignorant to the law. Me, myself, I could have get my last plea bargain in the office for like 35 years. My attorney, it just so happened, this me and her is close, but I got an older sister. And me and my older sister was like, we was out the jail. But anyway, saying that, you know, she was incarcerated at the time, so she was in the law library where she was incarcerated. And I stayed in the law library, you know, where I was at. Was changing. You know, so I made my attorney, my public defender work.
Right.
At the time, like, people don't understand. They think it's just about a plea bargain and a jury trial. It's another option there. You know, it's a bench trial option there. You know what I'm saying? Where you let the judge hear you. You feel like that you got, and most attorneys, if you had to deal with this type of situation, you're going to have stipulations. If you didn't go take a jury trial, even if you take a open plea or a plea bargain or a bench trial, your attorney should say, hey, there's gonna be some stipulations on this. We don't want just into that. You know what I'm saying? Anytime an attorney don't do that, and I can still remember my attorney's name at the time, it was Dave Saxon. He tried his best to sell me out.
Right.
He tried his best to sell me, and I wouldn't do it for it. But the thing was, I made it work for me. I mean, my last little plea bargain was like 35 years. I came out with 24. I came out with 24, but 24 sound better than, you know, and I knew that it was stipulation made, and I didn't win the case, but I didn't lose it all the way either.
Yes, I'm sorry, Ken. I went ahead and brought you to the line. So our first caller calling in from Mississippi, he's not one of the cases that I highlighted, but he's very familiar with Mississippi. He's an advocate and he's serving time. He's very big on getting the situations going on in the Mississippi prisons out to the public. On the line right now, I have Kent. How you doing, brother? Hold on, let me, my volume. I couldn't hear you. Okay. Hello? Yeah, so we're sitting here talking about the corruption going on in Mississippi. I think I talked to you a few times about some of the cases that I have. I've had people call that didn't even live in Mississippi. They were just passing through. And now they're sitting in there for the rest of their life. They'll never be able to leave Mississippi if they don't get relief on their case. You have several brothers locked up with you like that?
Yes. I came from Chicago. Yeah, I'm going away from Chicago. I just came down to Mississippi, caught charged, and they pretty much put me on I forgot what they called it. They said I was a flight risk. You know, so I didn't get a bond. I didn't get a bond because I was a flight risk. And that's just what happened. I got trapped, you know.
And never left. So what was your charges?
Armed robbery.
Armed robbery.
And the way they did it was so crazy because initially my bond was like 10,000, and then my charge partner, his bond was like 50,000. So when we went to our bond reduction, I had told my mother, I was like, Mom, just hold down on the money, you know, because we're gonna go to a bond reduction here, and they gonna drop the 10,000 down a little bit lower, and I'm gonna bond out on that. So she's like, okay, bet. So by the time we went to the bond reduction, man, my child part of my cousin, his lawyer pretty much had attacked my attacked my the fact that I was older and things of that nature. And it was like it's no reason for him to have such a low bond, and my client is younger than him with no record, and he had such a high bond. So the judge raised my bond. So when the judge raised my bond, my family was still gonna get me out. I never forget what he said. He said, "I don't have a problem with you getting out. You just gotta have some money." So my family was like, "Well, what's the bond?" They raised the bond up to like 100,000. So my mom was gonna put the house up. She was gonna put the house up to help get me out. And as soon as they found, I guess they seen that my mom was gonna do that, man, they put a hold on me and said I was a flight risk. I was gonna head back to Chicago.
Wow.
So,
And they wouldn't be able to do what they wanted to with you.
right.
So during your trial process, could you tell you were being railroaded?
Yes, I did. You know, I ended up taking a plea. I ended up taking a plea at the day of the trial, and I did that because my lawyers didn't show up. So it was like I'm standing there at court with no lawyers. You know, I'm like, man, I'm standing there. I never forget. I'm standing there with my grandmother and my uncle, and they like, where your lawyer at? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know, you know. But the best lawyer that I had was a public defender. I had 3 lawyers in all.
Right.
I had three lawyers in all. Two of them were paid, and one of them was a public defender. And the best one I had was the public defender.
Really?
You know? Yeah, but still, she wasn't there because I had got rid of her, and you know, on the day of trial, man, I'm talking about that none of my lawyers showed up. So I just ended up throwing myself on the mercy of the court right then,
Wow.
thinking if they was gonna listen, you know, thinking that I didn't think I was gonna get 30, but they gave me 30 years, 39 to a year.
And how much more time do you got left?
I got 10.
Whew. But you took, what I love about you is you took that negative and turned it into something powerful. Because you've really been exposing the world to the corruption happening in, especially you're in Parsley, right?
Yeah.
And that's where they had that uprising at last year. I don't know if you all remember that. But he did a lot to expose why that uprising happened and what was going on to honor the people that lost their lives during the uprising, and also the corruption just going on and how the Mississippi court process happens. He's took his time and did something powerful with it. And I really wish he could get out before them 10 years and be on the street, because he is a huge advocate for the criminal justice reform. No, I'm thankful that I've ever even met you. Like, I mean, you've really helped educate me on a lot of things.
Let me ask a question. How is it that you were not able to be represented? You know, isn't it the court's responsibility to make sure that you have adequate representation, whether it's a public pretender or if it's a regular paid for lawyer? So how? I couldn't even see them going on with the actual case.
Because I went to court with a guy about a month ago, and the person that was being heard before him, the attorney didn't show up. And so the judge rescheduled him. Right, because he didn't have an attorney.
That's what I was kind of think would happen, that they would reschedule it and then they would get on the attorney for not showing up. That's your job.
Right. Especially the pay attorney, you know what I'm saying?
But were they paid, the ones that didn't show up, or were they the
Yeah, they was paid attorneys. They were paid attorneys that didn't show up. And I truly believe that a lot of the sentencing that goes on is because of one's inexperience, you know, because of a lot of not knowing, a lot of ignorance to the law. to different things. So it's
It's
like
also collusion.
people come up in there, they get to throwing big numbers and things like that. Before you know it, a person will tell on themselves.
Right.
You never know what the case may be, you know. And guys, we were afraid. You know, my whole thing was I was young. I was facing. I had left Chicago with 13 years over my head as a shorty. So it was like I had 13 years just sitting there over my head, just leaving. And when I caught this charge, they was like, if you give them anything under 20 years, we just gonna put that 13 right on the top of it. So I'm young, I'm scared. I really don't know what to do because I'm knowing that I ain't got no money.
Right.
I don't know nothing about, you know, the knowledge and everything that I have now. I had none of this when I first came. You know, so my whole thing was, at that time, I started putting my faith in the Lord and was like, God ain't gonna give me no life sentence, man. I'm just gonna just throw myself on the mercy of the court. You know, whatever God give me, at least I got daylight at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
The mind frame that I had at that particular time because I didn't know nothing.
Right.
And everybody, I'm talking about, I found out then how bad snitching and stuff is. I'm talking about people that swear that I told them this, people who swear that I told them that. I ain't even know half of the people that was in my motions
Right. Yeah, we did a whole show about snitching, just telling them how it happens, the different ways to get a snitch to snitch. And I mean, it was a lot.
And that's crazy that he didn't probably hear the show.
No, I didn't even know him
reference.
yet.
You know,
I didn't even know him
crazy.
yet. I met him maybe
Can I
that
ask
week.
the brother something?
Yeah.
Did you have pending cases in Chicago?
He said, did you have pending cases in Chicago?
I was on probation. I was on probation from the city, and they were pretty much basically just let me leave. You know, excuse me, y'all.
Okay.
Yeah, I was on probation. I was on probation, and I had 13 years over my head to do on probation, and I guess see down in Mississippi, armed robbery is like worse than murder. I don't know what it is that they hate and they can't stand about armed robbery, but I've seen guys kill people and come to prison and get out quicker than some of the guys with armed robbery.
I think it's the same in Georgia too.
It's about property.
Yeah. I had a brother call me a couple of weeks ago. He was on our show with the death row inmates. And we ended up being on the phone for like 3 hours. He was breaking down the court system to me, to understanding like why a wrongful conviction even happens, what the attorneys don't do that causes a wrongful conviction. And he broke it down to me to the point where it was like, we got to do a show on this. And he was just like, you know, and at first we started off arguing because he was taking each case that I had and he was breaking them down to the point where I felt like he was saying that these people were not innocent or they were not railroaded. And he was like, they were railroaded because they don't know what's going on. He said, but they wasn't railroaded because what makes it not a railroading is because their attorney didn't follow the protocol of the courtroom. And because just to present their evidence, you got to have a motion to present the evidence. You got to let the judge know by a specific time what you're going to submit and, whatever. It has to be approved. He said a lot of times it's about what the person that's on trial don't know. So I told him, I said, well, whenever you come to Georgia, we need to do a show on the courtroom so people know, because there's, we got thousands of people right now waiting to go to trial. So they need to hear this so they'll know what's happening, because I can't go to everybody's courtroom. I get, people will call me on the same day to show up for court for them. And I'm like, I'm just one person. I can't go for everybody. But in Mississippi, in the smaller towns in Mississippi, Parsley, is that in a small town?
Yeah, Parsley is it's in the Delta. Parsley is just the main prison for it's the main state prison for Mississippi, you know.
Right.
But it's a whole bunch of about 17, 18 different prisons.
Now, from what I hear in them little bitty towns in Mississippi, I've had truck drivers end up going to prison for life because what was the mini thins? One of the guys said they found mini thins in the system. And I said, well, I thought mini thins was just another form of like a 5-hour energy or just something to keep you alert. And he said, yeah, I'm in prison because I was driving an 18-wheeler with those in my system. And they said I had so much, it was almost to the level of cocaine. And they gave me life for attempted murder, even though I didn't hit nobody. He said, well, they didn't give him life. They told him they were going to give him life unless he signed for 5 years. And he said he'd already been down the road before, so he just went on ahead and took the 5 years, pissed his wife off. But I told her, I said, to fight a wrongful conviction could take 5 years.
Yeah.
It
And they
could
know
take
that.
5 years.
And they know that.
Mhm.
And that's the thing about it. They know that your appeal process, especially if you plead guilty, you really just signed away all your rights.
Right.
But I'm talking about even just with a trial, it takes you anywhere up to 5 to 10 years. Sometimes the prosecutor know what they're doing. They say if they could luckily convict you, they felt at least we got him off the street for like 7, 8 years.
Right.
He might get a appeal and then turn and overturn. You know what I'm saying? But it's gonna take him. They already know 5 to 7 years.
Yeah, because you file your motion for your appeal. It might take 2 to 3 years to get in the courtroom.
It's like, like the brother you're talking to now, like you said that he took an open plea bargain or whatever. He threw himself on the mercy. So when you talk about doing stuff like that, because you really is kind of ignorant to the situation of the law, but you got to know what are your mitigating and aggravating circumstances is. When you do something like that, because when you do something like that, that's what the judge is gonna look at. Okay, you say, I take an open plea bargain. I ain't never been in trouble before. I'm in college. I'm doing this. Blah. Still something. Maybe even like you said, have use co-op.
Right.
So them are your mitigating circumstance. But if you got prior convictions, you done been in, from, well, I ain't gonna say juvenile, because they don't supposed to count, but soon you became adult, you got records, convictions, them gotta be your aggravated circumstances, and that's what the judge gonna add your time on. You know what I'm saying? So anytime when you talking about open pleas, your lawyer should be smart enough to know how he's looking at your record. Your lawyer is looking at your record to say, hey, this might not be the best way to go.
Well, they're gonna look at your record too, because a lot of times they sentence you based on your past as well.
Right.
So even though this crime might hold the weight of 10 years in prison, you've been in prison before, so now we're gonna give you 30 years.
But I think we have to look at that this system or
Okay, Ken, I want to say thank you because my other caller's calling in now.
Keep your head up, man. Keep your head up.
Thank you for calling Playfair Fridays. Who do I have on the phone now?
This is Anthony Jefferson.
Hey, Anthony. We just got off the phone with another person. I guess y'all 2 minutes ahead of us because it started ringing early. Tell us a little bit about tell us about your case.
I was sentenced to possession with intent to distribute 5 pounds of marijuana and conspiracy to possess marijuana. And my sentence was 20 years for conspiracy for marijuana and 30 years for the sales with intent, which were enhanced sentences, which was a subsequent drug offender and a non-violent habitual for 2 prior felony that was reduced to misdemeanors to prior drug convictions in California.
Right.
I went to court, 4 weeks in a row, and so my last court date, they was trying to offer me a deal, which was an open plea, which was a word that I said from my attorney, was explained to me by my attorney who took a recess. So, they was offering me a maximum sentence, which was 50 years, 20 for the conspiracy and 30 for the possession of intent. So I just told them I didn't want to take that, so we get some time off and, give me a week or so to think about, taking the field. They didn't want to do that. So, I made a mistake and didn't show back up to court, which the court, took it up on their own to take me to trial in my absence.
Oh,
So,
wow.
I was taking a trial in absence. I never was there to pick a jury. I never was there to be present in any part of the trial. I never was there to get sentenced or anything. I was sentenced in my absence. And I was arrested in California about a year and a half later and was extradited back to Mississippi, which the enhancement sentence was already imposed, and my sentence was already intact. And I came back to Mississippi, and they sent me straight to prison. And I've been in prison going on 8 years now, and I had, I did a couple of appeals. I had the law school, University of Mississippi, take my case and do my first initial appeal, but that didn't go nowhere. It was denied, which that made my appeal process start up. Me not having the financial help to hire attorneys and keep this appeal stuff going on, my case ended up being time barred. And the definition of time was meaning that I ran out of time to go continue to the next appeal. So now that's where I'm stuck at now, where I can't move forward in my appeal case. So I have a petition going, just trying to get 1,000 petitions, and I'm over 500 right now. So.
But what about an habeas? Have you went that route yet?
I haven't made it to the federal court because no attorneys would take the case based on the time board. I never made it to a federal habeas corpus. My last state remedy was post-conviction relief, which I did myself, which I wasn't time board. I made it in time, but it was denied.
So you saying that basically how much they sentence you to?
So now when I do contact someone attorney, they give me no hope. They tell me that my case is barred, time barred, and there's no way that they can do anything but for me to be waiting on a law change or for me to try to get some type of parole granted in some type of way, which I'm trying to figure out. But that's scary to understand that the way the law works, where I'm just stuck with 60 years without a way to appeal this case for the area that's in my trial, and it's just a really hard situation.
So you're okay. Okay, I'm trying to think. So Mississippi basically doesn't have the same rules that other states have, in other words, because I know a lot of my cases, they time runs out on the appeal process. So then our next option is the habeas. So we start with the state level. And I tell them just make sure you get everything in on time. And then if it doesn't do well at the state level, we move it up federal. What about commutations or anything like that? Do y'all have those in Mississippi?
What they do there is a clemency package, and from my understanding, the information that I have read over that you have to get from the state to really get this clemency approved from the governor. So I'm not even from this state at all. I never lived here in the state of California. That takes me out of getting the clemency from the state. So I need any type of legal assistance that I can get right now. It's just really tough.
Brother man, do you have any good penitentiary lawyers that I know you got law libraries there? You got to work in the law library can help you with your case and get your transcripts and see what mistakes or what was made in court while you wasn't there present? Because was your lawyer there in court?
He didn't show up.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, he said he didn't show up for court.
But he should be able to still get his transcript.
I have my JNOD, Mississippi, which is what my initial attorney that was my trial attorney, he raised these errors. So I do have the errors that were wrong in my trial. He did stay there and like, okay, so I have my transcripts and everything like that, but you know, being here in Mississippi, dealing with the legal assistance is very hard because they're not taking their time out to read anything, to read no transcripts. Like you say, no lawyers just want to read the transcripts and they just go look at my case to see that it's time or to see the status of where I'm at in my appeal process. And they don't even give them time to even read the case or read the errors or go try to find anything in the transcripts.
I want to ask you, have you applied for, okay, now I know I've learned that other states call it something different. Part of the First Step Act, Donald Trump did the Open Record Report or the Freedom of Information Act report. Have you tried to file for any of that? It's free, so, and it's available to everybody that's in prison.
That was new information to me just right now.
Okay. So as soon as you can, it'll either be called the Freedom of Information Act or it'll be called Open Record Report. I don't, in your state may say something different, but they're gonna know it's part of the First Step Act. And what it is you ask them for everything. I want to see every piece of information that you have that is the reason I'm in prison. And they have, every state's different. And I will, if you can remind me Monday, I'll find out how long they have to give it to you. But like in Georgia, I believe they have 3 months to get it to you. If they don't get it to you in 3 months, it's in contempt of court. In a situation like that, you notify an attorney that, hey, I applied for my open record report and it's been a year and I still don't have it. They will take that case because for some reason, and I don't understand all the details, and if any attorney's listening in, it can explain it. For some reason, if they can't get that to you, then that's a loophole way to get out of prison. And when they ask you what do you want, you got to be very specific because if you don't put any piece of thing, you won't get it. So you have to say you want the investigation report, emails from the lawyers to the judge, any sticky notes, any case notes, the discovery, the court record, everything. Just sit and think of every piece of document that could be attached to your case. And when you apply for it, you write it down and go over it 3-4 times. Make sure you ain't missing nothing, and have them send it to you. I've seen cases where lawyers went through and saw that they had an all-white jury and they were able to get out of prison because they did not receive a fair trial. It's worth a shot, but I don't want you to give up just yet. We're gonna figure out a way. If we can find that right attorney, our next thing to do will be to fundraise for you to get the money to pay for that attorney. But I don't want you to give up. Are you still with me?
Yes, I'm here. I appreciate that information, and I'm gonna look into that right away and get on that sooner the better.
Yeah, I'll text it to you. If you forget, if you didn't write it down, I'll make sure I text it to you. Just remind me. Do you guys have any other suggestions for them?
No, like I told them, I said, I know that y'all probably have a law library. There's a lot of convicts in them law libraries, man. It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And a lot of them will help you do research on your case. Just like I was one of them and got a lot of guys. I got a lot of guys out before I could get myself out. So you know, you find look on that law library and whoever you can, and you to pay them a little bit what you can to pay, you know, and to help you research your case, man, because they can help you along with outside help. Okay?
And I know right now you don't have the financial support. If you could just find a law library, a penitentiary attorney in there that will help. You know, we've done it for several people. We'll raise the money and get them paid to get started on your case. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yeah, but I don't want you to giving up is not an option because I know the South is always the last ones to free up anything, but they're gonna make marijuana legal eventually in Mississippi. The when we don't know. The when we don't know, and then from there, you know, laws will change. But in the meantime, we have other options, and we'll just go through every piece of option we have. There's an attorney in Mississippi that will take this case. We just got to find him or her. And like I said, I just don't want you to give up. because, whew,
I can't give up 60 years of the rest of my life. I'm 39 years old, 48
oh,
years old.
you're not supposed to do 60 more years. You're not supposed to do 60 years. We just gotta, as a team, we gotta figure out how to get you up out of there. We'll find it. It just, it takes a village.
Excuse me, did they give the court give you an enhancement on that? I mean, where they just added something for like prior problems or something?
Yeah.
Was it prior conviction? Were they plea bargains or trials or what? Can you hear me?
I couldn't hear you.
I asked you, was your prior convictions, were they plea bargains or they jury trials, your prior convictions?
It was a jury trial, what they call trial and absentee.
Okay, I'm talking about your prior convictions. You said you had prior convictions?
Yeah, they were.
Oh, prior convictions?
Yeah.
Prior convictions were pleas. Where I had one possession, in 2000, another possession, which was in 2006. So they were simple possessions, which California reduced those to misdemeanors back in 2004. So right now, prior to this situation, I have no prior felonies on my record, but these felonies that I'm convicted here in this country.
Oh, okay.
Is there a way you can email me your case? So, because I'll come to Mississippi and I'll find an attorney.
My case is public records. You can't go and Google my name.
And it'll show up.
It will show up.
Because I know a lot of people tell me that, and sometimes it don't be there.
Mine is there.
Yours is there? Okay.
Yeah. Because I think because of the law school in Mississippi, that's my case.
Oh, that's right.
It was a special session case where they had my case, who they call court on wheels. I had up to the school to do our case in an open, what they call the oral argument at the school, which I really had faith in, and I thought that something was going to happen, but it didn't. It kind of put me at a strain because my appeal practice was going, and I didn't have the legal assistance to get things done. That's what got me in this position I'm in now.
Right. And that's with a lot of the people that call into FAIR. It's the lack of knowledge, the lack of resources, and then they get into, some people get lucky and get in prison, and the other brothers mentor them and guide them through it. And others, they just get in there and nobody talks to them, and time runs out, like as with yourself. And that's how they end up getting stuck in there. But I learned about the open record report about 4 or 5 months ago. It's worth, like I said, it's worth a shot. It can't hurt. If it don't work, it don't work, but at least you tried. But I'm gonna have to go read over that First Step Act to see exactly what it is. But it's called the Freedom of Information Act, and Donald Trump was saying that everyone has the right to see everything.
That's always been. That's not the freedom of information. That's always been.
Okay.
That's always been that any American can have that. You can always send out a freedom of information act on what they have on you, what kind of information.
Oh, yes.
Right.
Anyway.
Okay. I just know I saw it in the First Step Act, but yeah. So it's always been, and like I said, just pull. Where do they go get it from, the prison, or if you're incarcerated?
You can send, there's an agency, a federal agency that you send to the government that you can request what is called the Freedom of Information Act. Freedom of information, that you can request any information that the federal government or, may have on you.
Right.
Anything.
Okay. But like I said, we'll get on that Monday. Make sure you get on that Monday. And if you forget to text me, because I'll have so many people calling me about their situation before then, I might forget to text you the information.
Okay, I'll let my sister text you now.
Okay. So at the moment, he does have a petition on change.org. I think I checked when I pulled up today, it was 504 signatures. We want to get him over really a minimum of 1,000, but as many as possible, because we want to get national attention on his case, because it is a weed case. is not cocaine or, you know, heroin or anything like that. It's weed. So we want to get as many signatures on that petition, and hopefully somebody big can take
But I
us.
thought Obama done something about that. People that had cases like that, they went back and, you know, either looked back at them and, you know, gave them some relief. You know what I'm saying? I think they did.
There was a few people that got out on Obama's watch about
Yeah.
Right, but it's not. It's Trump now.
Oh,
It's Trump now. It's not Obama. So
right.
you know,
But I don't think that was every case. There were certain cases.
And that's
That
true.
was
I think it was
qualified.
non-violent.
well,
Yeah,
his
it
is
was
non-violent.
That's what I'm saying.
His
That's
is
what we're talking about.
non-violent.
People
It's-
with drug cases. I mean, cocaine cases. You know what I'm saying? You talking
Right.
about weed. You know, but what I'm saying is, I think that he need to look into that because for real, Obama done that wouldn't have nothing to do with Donald Trump. You know,
Mhm.
that wouldn't have nothing to do with Donald
Right.
Trump.
Well, it's on the state level anyway, so it doesn't have. It's not his case is not a federal
Right,
case.
his case is not.
It's
Okay.
not a federal case, but
And that make it even worse. I mean, because you giving somebody 30 years for 5 pounds of weed. That don't
Right.
I mean, 20 and then a
Six-
conspiracy.
right.
I mean, come on. And then I'm from Chicago. So that kind of hits home with me that they would railroad somebody for 5 pounds of weed. That don't even
but
make
he's in
sense.
Mississippi though. The case was called Mississippi, not Chicago.
And that's when you were saying earlier how the different states
Yeah.
have different laws.
Yeah, but
but
Right.
basically, federal.
That's over
but-
sentencing,
but- but I'm saying
Yeah,
that
definitely.
usually federal guidelines overpower state guidelines. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
that's
So
what you
we
need to
need to
look into.
find out.
Yeah. You know, he
Yeah.
might be a candidate for that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? You know, because he done got, I don't know how much time he got in now.
He's
But
only
he
got
might-
8 years, right?
That's more than enough.
Right.
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 Well, can you look into that?
I tried.
If we got some time this week and let me know.
It's called the FOIA. That's what Freedom of Information Act.
Yeah, but we're
FOIA.
talking about the law Obama passed
Yeah,
now.
about people that was convicted of
No.
non-violent drug crimes.
Offensive.
Yeah. Hopefully it wasn't federal cases, but if it was,
But,
if we
like I
can
said,
get him back in court on
If it
that.
was on the federal aspect of it, because really most of the drug cases, are state cases anyway. Now let's you
Unless it
Right.
was
You
a-
got 1,000 pounds.
Now,
You know,
you know,
So Barack Obama is going to have to deal with federal cases and not state cases.
yeah, but I'm saying the federal law still trickle down to state guidelines too. You know, when it comes down to stuff like that,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, we're gonna figure it out. We'll figure it out. And it's crazy because he told me this case before, and then probably when we hung up, somebody else called with a case. And
That's why you gotta have your pencil and paper.
well, see, a lot of times they call me when I'm driving.
Okay.
So I be driving and they be telling me stuff, and I'm trying to take it in. And I said, okay, well, text it to me. Text me a little short story about what's going on, and I'll get on this.
And that's what I said, but even the little thing that, you know, that's my thing. I like it because it get my mind to working again.
Yeah, exactly.
You know,
Well, see, now we got a lot of people joining the organization. I just applied for the 501c3. So, like I said, I didn't expect this to take off like it did. Like FAIR just this
Well, you're
time.
overwhelmed yourself. You know,
Yeah.
get some help.
Yeah, I have to get some help.
You know.
But then a lot of
Yeah.
time people come and they really just want to stand at the rallies and go out of town when I go out of town. They don't really want to do the work.
Mhm.
So those people are short-lived, and then some of the ones that were helping me inside the prisons have been released. And once they come out of the joint, either they don't want to do it no more, or they want some real money now.
Mhm.
So,
I mean, I'm just totally just disgusted with Mississippi. I mean, I mean, that's absurd. I mean, like, common sense is not common, or that's just successfully sentenced and just railroading. I mean, I do know the gentleman did say that he didn't show up to
Yeah.
court. Okay, which is fine.
Right,
That's fine, because that's an FTA, failure to appear,
right.
even if you are in custody.
And I had a friend convicted like that. He was but he was a big drug dealer at the time. You know,
Right.
and he didn't show up. They convicted him. They took him to trial without him being there.
And they did him with the 3
They done
strikes,
that,
but
yeah.
his prior convictions were
Reduced to
misdemeanors.
misdemeanor.
And so that, but
But
like
you
I
say he
said,
had prior convictions. You say yeah.
in another state
But
in
you said
California.
California, right?
Yeah, but they were misdemeanors. They weren't
They
felonies.
wasn't felony.
No. But I guess Mississippi, a crime is a crime. We don't care if you slapped your
But see, a
mom.
lot of times I can tell you,
So
Yeah.
with the 3-strike law, is that a national law?
No, every state don't have 3
So
strikes.
Mississippi has a 3-strike law?
Yes,
Well,
yes.
Even if you didn't commit the strikes in their state.
Thing about
I
it-
guess it's wherever you commit, you can commit a crime on Mars.
Some of the states call 3 strike, like Indiana, it called habitual criminal.
Right, right.
In the federal, it called career criminal.
Okay.
That's why they give you them enhancements. 30
Right.
years, you know what I'm saying? So yeah, some states might call it habitual criminal, some 3 strikes, you know what I'm saying? But
Oh,
all
it's the
that
same
way.
thing.
But
Okay.
here's the thing: the state don't even have to have it. It's really up to the judge. Remember when we were talking about the crime bill of 1994, when Clinton and Biden and all that, they said it's basically really up to the judge. If you keep coming to his courtroom and he want to throw you away, he can.
Right. And even here in Georgia, and I've always said that here in Georgia, they have you see the same judge.
Mm-hmm.
And I had my little share of run in, and Judge Hingham High Hunter told me if I come back in her courtroom, and I didn't do it wasn't like I was out here just a career criminal, but she told me if I came back in her courtroom, by the time I got out, she would be retired. This is what she told me, and that scared me. That's why I said I gotta fly straight, because to have to see the same judge over and over.
Yeah, they're gonna be right back in front of their judge.
Yeah, that's most states really. They're gonna.
And then if you do the wrong, real wrong thing, you know what I'm saying, they gotta hang the judge high, you know, because they're gonna make it a public, you know, thing.
Right.
Well, he done been locked up 3 or 4 times. The judge keep on letting him out, letting him
That's
go.
true. So now they're gonna really put the complications on.
Yeah.
You from Chicago, right?
Yes.
I'm from Indiana. I'm from Indianapolis.
Okay, now.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, goodness, this is a lot.
And them Hoosiers didn't play neither.
No.
The Hoosiers didn't play that, but they call my state the Hoosier state. Yeah,
Okay.
the Hoosiers.
I like who
Well,
are
I
they?
guess you have to take into consideration that with the way, especially in these southern states, that they have a history of the convict leasing. So what was this all about? It was about incarcerating Black men if they didn't have a job, if they just was walking around.
Right.
That what they would do. They would imprison those people, and then they would get paid, and then they would work them to death. And so you come off a history of that. And so these are the other ways of just doing the same thing, making profit off of Black bodies.
Right. I mean, in a lot of these southern states, they still got them picking cotton, and the
Absolutely.
jobs that they work in, they don't make for like $1 an hour, if it's even $1. But Anthony, I want to thank you for calling in. You have, I think Larry said he's going to call in when you call in. Is he sitting here beside you? Did I lose him?
No.
Okay.
No.
Is there anything you want to add? I'm sorry. I guess I should ask you that. My mind is working a mile a minute right now. Is there anything you want to add to this?
Not at all. I just appreciate the support and your time. And I'm just gonna go ahead and follow up what you told me about getting all my information from the course.
Okay. And everybody who's listening in, if you would, please go on to change.org. His name is Anthony Jefferson. You'll see his petition. We need as many signatures as possible. Really, no less than 1,000. We're halfway to 1,000 now in the first week, but we need tens of thousands, really 1 million if we can even get that. But just go in and sign his petition and show that you support his release. And hopefully we can, get an attorney to take this pro bono and help us out. But if not, as soon as we find one, we'll be fundraising to get him back in court.
His name Anthony Jefferson.
Anthony Jefferson,
Change.org, right?
Yeah. I think you already signed it.
Okay.
You can check though, because you shared it the first day I put it up.
Check it. Yeah, that's retarded.
Right. Yeah. All right, Anthony, we got you, but don't give up. We gonna figure this out. We gonna find something. Hello? Okay.
I appreciate the time and the effort. For the listeners that are listening, I got 2 beautiful daughters out there that I'm trying to get back to, my 2-year-old grandbaby. So I'm trying to be a granddaddy. I'm trying to live my life. that way and not forget it. So even with the COVID situation, we're not able to visit, you know. I haven't seen my family in a couple of years. So, you know, it's a lot of stress on just dealing with the time itself, you know. We understand that the situation is tough trying to get out at the same time. So, support
And we will bring you back on again, probably in a couple of months. We're not going to let this case get out of their mind, okay?
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. You have a good one, okay?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, Lord. Right.
Mississippi, let it be played with.
They nothing to be played with. I had brothers call and say that they were sitting on the overpasses watching them ride by and then pulled over, gave them a ticket for something crazy, and now they ain't never going back home. And people think stuff like this is a joke, or the stories are so unbelievable until you see the cases. It's like you cannot believe this is actually, or it actually happened to a person. But the way they write the cases out, that's why I'm glad the people call us from the prison. Because if I just told the story, I don't think they will understand the severity of it. So they got to hear it from the horse's mouth. They got to hear it from them.
And they're able to do these people like this because there's no light on it.
Mm-hmm.
So bringing light and attention to it so it can get out, because that's the only way that they're really going to get a fair shot.
Right.
That the more it's exposed and put them like when you turn the light with roaches,
Mm-hmm.
that's what we need to do is turn on the light to that
Exactly.
injustice, and it's done to poor people and especially blacks.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
They know what they're doing and it's deliberate.
I need, I know I've had activists contact me about cases and this is my guy. No. If you're an activist and you can help us with Anthony, please, the more the merrier. The more people working on the case, the better. Because these people are trying to get out of prison. You don't own that person. You don't own the rights to that person.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wants to get out of prison and they got 100 activists screaming their name, fighting for them, let it happen. If anybody wants to help us with Anthony Jefferson or any other case, you can call me 470-458-8360. I'll connect you with him and we'll work together as a team. We need all hands on deck. We need as many people as possible helping with these situations. Or if you're an attorney in the state of Mississippi and there's something, or you have jurisdiction in Mississippi and you think you can help, please, by all means, give us a call. I do not want to see him sitting there for 6 years. I don't believe in my spirit he's gonna sit in there for 60 years. We just gotta find his way out. There's always, I believe there's on every seat, okay, you can be the most guilty person on the planet. There's a way for you to get out. I just believe that.
And this would be good for people in law school. I mean, to look into stuff like this. They get into practice, the research and everything.
Yeah.
This is the challenge they need. People that is in law schools and they got free time to look into something like this.
Yeah.
And when he said he's been there for 8 years.
For 8 years now.
And even like when he said it, I guess he didn't show up for court. So because we have a real corrupt system, they like the fact that he didn't show up.
Oh,
because it allowed them to do whatever it was that they wanted
Want
to
to
do
shoot
to him.
him, exactly.
So, but you think they probably gave him the maximum that they can give him. And that's
Because
crazy.
he wasn't there. Not only was he not there, but his support system wasn't there. People don't understand how somebody in that courtroom with you makes a difference. A lot of somebodies in that courtroom make a difference.
Now, when I was doing my legal thing, in the county jail and the prison, a lot of times the guys, when things ain't going their way, I said, you got one thing to do: turn the table over. I said, that'll stop it. When you see things ain't going your way, that's when you tell, turn the table over. And then that's a mistrial. Let's start all over.
Right.
Actually, physically turn it.
Yeah, I heard that too.
Yeah, turn the table over.
I got your attention now.
Right.
That's a mistrial. They can't gag. Yeah, that's a mistrial because they can't gag you. You know what I'm saying? The jury done saw all this, so They gotta pick a new jury.
Okay.
See what I'm saying?
Wow.
I mean, that really, but that's what we used to get. Turn the table.
Thank you for calling. I now have on the line Larry Collier calling in from Mississippi as well. How you doing, Larry?
I'm doing okay. What about you?
I'm doing well. So tell our panel about your case.
Well, I got a sale of cocaine. 120 years for 3 counts of sale of cocaine, less than 2 grams altogether. So each time it's supposed to be 2 rocks apiece. They give me 120 years, 40 suspended, 80 to do. Until 2018, I didn't have parole date.
So do you have one now?
Yes, they still have to do 20 years on it. It all still be released.
Was it sale charge?
Yeah. Was it intent to distribute?
Or was it a sale charge?
No, it was sale.
Well, here's the thing. Mississippi has a law that says anything 8 grams or less gets you, what, 8 years in prison?
Yes, Mississippi passed the law in 14 saying if you had less than 2 grams of any kind of drug, you couldn't serve no more than 8 years.
Right. And then you were telling me that they also passed a law like a year later saying that if a law is passed that can bring you relief on your sentence, you can get back in court.
Oh, well, Mississippi have a case law saying if the new law come into effect, you're entitled to a new law if the case hasn't been finalized on appeal. And my case hasn't been finalized on, well, it wasn't finalized on appeal to 16, and the law came in 14, so I should have been entitled to that new law.
Right. So why are they saying that you're not? Or are they saying you're not?
Well, they denied me every time I Supreme Court, a post-conviction, federal habeas, denied every time.
So did you go in there doing it yourself or did you have an attorney?
I had an attorney every time. Supreme Court ruled that. Supreme Court ruled that. First off, I had a convicted felony to testify against me. She had been in prison like 4 times herself, been convicted like 9 times. And when she testified, she lied on the stand. But the Supreme Court said, even though she lied, it was a harmless error in my case.
No, that's perjury.
Right.
They didn't give me a chance to cross-examine her about her lying. Said that, like I said, the Supreme Court said it was harmless. But they said I should have been able to cross-examine her, but it was harmless error. That's the crazy part about it.
Now I asked Anthony about doing a state habeas and he said because his time ran out he can't. Is that the same case with you?
No, I did my habeas, I got denied.
Did they tell you why they denied it?
If I can't, I don't have all the facts right now. Information, evidence, or I forgot exactly what it was. I had to go on my paperwork to see. I can't even remember.
No, it's okay. So we're sitting here trying to figure out ways we can get y'all back in the courtroom. So as of right now, like, has any other attorneys looked at this case again?
Well, I had some more, like I had someone else. I had a different lawyer for trial, had a different lawyer for my appeal, had a different lawyer for my post-conviction, and my haters, I had a different attorney.
And none of them seen an issue with the sentencing? Like, none of them, like, you know what I mean? Like, as a lawyer, I understand, like we was talking, you know, you do the crime, you have to do the time. But when we talking about these type of numbers, it's nothing that a public pretender or a lawyer could do to just look at the over sentencing.
That's what I was thinking. Like, would that not fall under sentence disparity?
Yeah,
Especially when the law says,
They won't give you over 8 years for over 2 grand.
right,
Well, he had what, 8 years conviction running wild, so many of them, or, I mean, well, he got 8 years, I mean, 8 years, 8 years, 8 years, and they all
Running
running.
consecutive.
Yeah, I mean, how do you get that much time out of a case? I don't understand that.
so I'm thinking, because you do, I know, we know about those the 3 strikes law in Mississippi. Your first conviction, it happened almost 20 years ago, right?
Yeah, my first conviction was 1992.
So did they hold that conviction against you when you went to court?
Yes, that's what they used to enhance it. That conviction from 92. And this time I went in 13, I say 21 years later. And they used that conviction to enhancement of the second substantial drug offense.
Wow.
2 grand.
And it sounded like with 120, it sounded like they stacked charges, didn't they?
Yeah, they
But
still,
see, that got outlawed in 18 though.
again, was that prior conviction, was it a plea bargain?
I can't hear the gentleman in the background. I cannot hear.
I said the prior conviction, was it a plea bargain?
It sounds like you said the prior conviction. Yes, the prior conviction was for selling cocaine.
Yeah, right.
He asked, was it a plea bargain?
Oh no, I went to trial every time. The first time I went to trial, and they convicted me 0.4 grams. It gave me 15 years. I did 6 years on that.
Wow.
Good Lord, same state.
Same state.
They gave you close to 20 years for a half a gram.
I can't hear. Can you repeat it for me, Miss?
You saying they gave you 20 years for a 0.5?
Yeah,
Yeah, you can repeat that.
I'm still like, he said that he's just saying on your first conviction, they gave you almost 20 years for 0.5.
Oh, yeah, my first conviction.
Man, I got
I know what I'm
I ain't a child. Who you telling?
That's
Oh
crazy.
my
crazy,
goodness.
man. It's crazy.
So Mississippi just, Lord.
Dirty. And then, you know, the brother came in last week, he said that there's more black people in the state of Mississippi than in any other state.
Right, but they don't control the state legislature.
Right.
It's still controlled by the white people.
I was like, I forgot my paperwork, but I got a thing about like incarcerated black men. Is the even though they the minority in Mississippi,
Right.
only thing that's different is the white women out incarcerate the black women in Mississippi. You know?
Really?
Yeah, that was I got the paper. I meant to bring it. You know.
But see, when I heard Larry's case, I wanted to go to Mississippi and do a rally where him is the feature, and him and Tamika Drummer. Tamika couldn't call in, but she got life for marijuana, for possession, and hers was about the same amount as what Larry had. So, and it was the same thing where she had a prior conviction. The prior conviction happened when she was a teenager. And since they couldn't get her for that, they put it all on this weed charge. So you got people spending life in prison for nonviolent drug offenses. So I wanted to go to Mississippi and do a rally for this, but that's when I started getting threats. Like people, matter of fact, I think I still got one of the messages in my messenger. But this lady came on, she told me to mind my effing business. To worry, yes, honey. She told me to worry about Georgia and stop. And I said, well, since you want me to mind my business, if I give you the case names, you help them. Then I'll mind my business.
Right.
But you got to realize,
Use your white privilege and help.
Right.
Alabama, Arkansas, they got a history of saying damn what the federal feds say.
Yeah.
We doing
Like,
what we want to do.
We
Right.
what we want to do.
Even if, you know what I'm saying, just somebody put, like you said, put the light on it, you know what I'm
But
saying?
people are putting the light on it. Nothing's happening. I've been seeing rallies going on in Mississippi. When the Parchment had their uprising, celebrities went down there. Jay-Z went down there.
But they'll go down there for that rally, but you have to keep your foot on the pedal.
That's true.
Right.
You
That's
can't
true.
just come and make an appearance and then you gone, because that's what they know. They know that you have to be in for the long haul if you really want to make a change. But if you just coming in there doing that and then going out, that's
They just look like good PR. That's
Yeah, but that's what they do it for. I mean,
Yeah,
like I said, Kim Kardashian, everybody wants you to hashtag Kim Kardashian, but she doesn't do nothing but smile and say cheese.
right.
It's freedom fighters in there that's putting in the work, that's
Right.
really pushing these stories. But again, like I told Anthony, we're gonna figure this out. Man, we're gonna have to figure this out how we can get him back in court as well. Cause
Yeah, that's tough. Yeah, I'm.
that is.
Hello?
yeah, you got the floor.
Okay, then the crazy thing about it, during trial, they really didn't have no audio or no video. And like I say, they took a convicted felony word over my word. I guess her word was stronger than mine because she was with the law. And the more money that she said she had that I gave her some 2 bills. But they had a video showing she's showing like those $10 bills. But in trial, she said during trial she said I gave her 2 $20 bills. But then on the video she showed some $10 bills. And it was a crazy case.
I mean, but even with that, is she saying you bought the drugs for $20? Or you
No, she said she bought the drugs for $40.
right, but even with that, even if that part was true, this sentence is too much.
Right.
Even if, you know, whether what she said was a lie or truth. $40. For $40, this man gotta be in prison for 120 years. It doesn't make no sense.
Even better off killing them.
I mean,
man, that's just crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
here's the thing, and this is where my head is right now, and I'm having this issue in St. Louis. But if y'all want me all in, I'm all in. But a lot of times when I go all in, and when I start putting my knee on their neck, they take it out on y'all.
Oh yeah, we definitely know about that.
Right. So it's on y'all how far I go with this.
I don't care.
I mean, I'm just saying because I get, you know, one of my guys is on suicide watch right now because I done put so much attention on his case and the sentence that they gave him, and they putting the pressure on him, and it's only so much you're already incarcerated.
It's better to be in a hole.
I think they need to put pressure on the governor, you know, to make him start giving up some clemency or something for these people, you know what I'm saying, that it was convicted, you know, wrongfully. Well, I ain't gonna say they was convicted wrongfully, but most likely the sentence
is way out of bounds.
The sentence is way out of bounds.
See, and I know Guiro was skeptical about me going to Mississippi because he was scared that I would end up next.
I mean,
In
when you talk about the type
Yeah.
of time they give it, like if you don't know the law and then you go down there, they can tell you how you can do 8 years for illegal
Right, for
protesting.
trying to help them, right.
That's crazy.
We gave her life for being black on Thursday.
Right.
You know?
And right now, protesting right now, there'll be high alert on everything. It's just what's
going on, right?
Yeah.
And that's the problem with Mississippi. Most of the time, people are seeing what Mississippi would do to them. And, you know, they kind of help bag down. Because my second lawyer that did my appeal, he was from Florida. And they gave him all type of trouble. Wanted to see his credentials, and he had credentials and everything.
Right. Yeah, Mississippi it's gonna take an army to go to Mississippi.
Yeah, they in their own world. They don't care nothing about what the feds think.
No,
You know what I'm
they're
saying?
not. But that's what we're
They
gonna
got a
have to
history
do.
of this. They got a history of this.
I mean, I get, you know, so many people talking about they want to follow me, they want to do it. Well, follow me to Mississippi.
Okay.
I need an army to go to Mississippi with me, and let's make some noise on this.
Mississippi, I'm gonna take some with me.
And
Right.
then back in 18,
I'm sorry. I was actually.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just actually looking at one of the laws in Mississippi, and you know, it kind of just made my heart beat a little fast. But it says for a Class 4 felony, but for one who had not been previously convicted of a felony. So if you ain't never been convicted of no felony,
Right.
and they catch you with drugs, you could do 5, 7, or 9 years.
That's good. Less than what they gave.
Right.
But see, if it had, but he said he had been.
Prior conviction.
He had a prior conviction.
See.
Yeah.
So they just gave him, and he said he took it to the jury. I mean, he took it to the.
See, I don't have any prior convictions, but I got traffic tickets. Would they give me life? For
Right.
I mean, I'm just saying.
Hit somebody.
Right. I mean, I don't have any prior convictions, but that's all I have on my record would be, I mean, not recent, but, you know, I've had tickets for
Well-
speed and, you know, failure to
But see,
turn.
I'm the
signal.
type, if I went down there and done something wrong, or they would,
So it wouldn't be safe for you to come with me.
they would just hand.
I'm not going.
Right.
No,
Some things just might snap.
It's over with. I'm definitely not going. I'm not going there ever. You know, I used to go to Biloxi to gamble, and I'm glad that that you have informed me. You
Right.
know, I'm not going there for nothing. No
Right.
HB party, none of that. They keep all that because that's crap. That don't even
Yeah.
make sense. You know
Yeah,
what I mean?
Louisiana would be next. I mean, Mississippi's the worst, but Louisiana don't fall too far behind.
Exactly. They like kissing cousins.
Right.
Arkansas? too?
Arkansas, right.
Arkansas.
So somebody sent me a message about Arkansas. I don't have any cases in Arkansas, but they said when, you know, while you're making your rounds, come to Arkansas.
I'm thinking about being closer to the west because that's like Southwest. I thought they was doing it really in the Southeast region, like Kentucky, Alabama, Tennessee. I didn't know that they was doing it Southwest because you're getting too close to the liberal states, like
And
Arizona.
Florida too.
Yeah. Well,
Just say-
I mean, I'm gonna put it out there if anybody's interested. I mean, we have to let what's going on in DC kind of wind down because they will take it out on us, but maybe summer or late 2021, we can head to Mississippi and, you know, try to talk to these people. Honestly, when they start opening the government stuff, I want to go into the legislative rooms.
And then, like you said, you gotta be careful because they really ain't friendly with outsiders coming in and then they do.
That's
Right.
true. That's
Why
not-
some of
that
the
is
ladies
not
send me the
friendly.
message telling me to mind my damn business?
Yeah.
You know?
And that's sad because they know what it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
They know what they're
And
doing.
you
That's
see,
why-
I mean, it just go all the way back to Mississippi, was it Mississippi burning? When they went to them outsiders from New York,
Right.
they killed all them boys.
But I seen that movie Mississippi Burning.
I remember Mississippi. I was a little girl when it was out.
And you would think that it's just, I mean, it was a deep movie, but to
Yes.
think 20 years later.
Mississippi, they formed a task force, Mississippi Disparity Citizen in 18. And haven't heard anything from it yet. And I have seen people come in here 4-5 times, been convicted 4-5 times for drugs, and have beat me out again. They'll be here 3-4 times before I got out one time.
So would it help if I go that route, if I contact them on your behalf? You think that might be better?
Anything, all and every little help will help.
Well,
I
give
got
me,
people kind of working on it now.
yeah, give me that information. I know your petition has a little over 600, right?
No, I've been over 1,000.
Oh, you over 1,000, Lord, Jesus, I'm
You doing
behind.
work. You doing work. But
Look
you
at,
know
I've
what?
been
You
over
know what?
1,000.
But the play would be though, to check on the white inmates and they drug condition, you know, convictions and see what they
Look at the disparities in the numbers.
Yeah,
Right.
let's check out that and if we can see this is just a racist, you know.
Right.
Do you have any
system.
off the top of your head that you know of had less than you and got, you know, had more than you and got less time? You don't have to say it on the air, but maybe you can send me the information. Cause I mean, I can Google it. But
Yeah, but it's public information, so you
Right.
just do it like that. Let's see, you know, cause I already, like I said, I looked at the news for 19 though, and at the time, the black inmates was so much popular that the white male inmates.
Right.
But like I said, I just saw where the female white inmates, you know, was more incarcerated than black, you know.
Right.
You know,
And
Yeah,
they gotta have somebody to keep the kids.
See, I had several
so
freedom fighters on my page that's in Mississippi pulling people out, but everybody they pulling out is white.
mhm.
Mm.
And I
They-
noticed
they-
that,
they
like I
get
just
all
went
the-
all through their
the-
page to see